Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back. So we have the GP Percussion Cajon1, they call this. Now, according to online specs, there's supposed to be 3 snare positions. There's only 2. Go figure. I don't know. Somebody got something mistyped. These sell for around $190 new. They will come, of course, with the carry bag, which currently is in my closet. They do say optional for the pad that's on here. This one actually had the pad there, and they're not cheap either to buy separately. But it was there. So I was in mcquade yesterday, I guess, and saw this thing there for 69 bucks, and I got their tag here. Anyways, so it has a 3mm thick beech wood faceplate, plywood construction, so all wood, unlike other cajons could be made out of MDF, whatever. Repositional or removable snares, optional foam seat cushion, comes with bag. Now, being they say optional foam seat cushion, that should mean it doesn't come with it. So whoever bought this originally actually bought the cushion, but they never did install it because it is adhesive, so you got to peel off the sticky paper thing. Anyways, wasn't disturbed, wasn't installed, so I figured, well, I'm going to install the sucker. And but the faceplate was a little on the rough side. Okay, it's definitely been loved. Now, I've reviewed this cajon before on my channel because I'd rented one from mcquade, which I went back to recheck the video just in case this was their rental model, and it turns out it's not. So it's like, okay, so we definitely got somebody else's cajon here, and because it's not too often you'll ever see mcquade sell their rental stuff. Sometimes they do, depending on the situation, but this is definitely not one of their rentals. It's something somebody brought in, and of course, like I said, the faceplate has some scuffs on it and stuff, and hey, it's an older cajon, right? Anyhow, so I thought I'd give it a good new facelift on the plate, because I thought, well, it looks kind of ugly, and I also removed the snare plate to find that one of the side supports was starting to lift up. So I repaired that, reinforced the other side as well. Also tapping around inside the back of the box, noticed that the back of the box has some spots that were getting a little bit, I guess you could say, loose-sided. So of course that all got re-glued, everything's good. So while I was at it, I did every crease in the thing that was there. And so it's solid as a rock. I mean, it wasn't like it was coming apart. There was no weak structural points. It's just there was that bit of a vibration coming from the back end on the one side, and because it was starting to, I guess, break free with age. And so I thought, all right, well, let's reinforce that too while we're at it. Did all that, and I thought, you know what? I got 2 really nice cajons that I really love. My Raven, which is over here, and I have a music genre one that I've left at the church. I thought, this would be kind of cool for the church, It didn't cost me much money, and which was a big thing. It's kind of like, well, that was kind of cheap. I mean, like I said, they're 189 bucks new. But the reason why I bought this was the bags alone are like 50 bucks and up, depending on the bag. And it's kind of like, yeah. So basically, I'm more or less paying for a bag and 20 bucks for a cajon, if you want to do it the math in that direction. Either way, heck of a deal, and with the seat pad as well, that's an extra bonus because they're not cheap either. So it's like, I think I'm going to use this one at church, bring my music genre home, and have my 2 prize cajons at home, one with a kick beater and one without, because I do have another kick beater now that I had installed on the Raven, but I just took it off there a few minutes ago because I want to use the music genre at home, one because it actually has a pickup in it that I installed, so I can do recordings and stuff and have it go direct into the sound system. So, because I'm not doing a second pickup in the Raven, there's no point to it. But as far as this thing goes, it's going to get the kick beater that's on the one at the church, that kick beater is going to get installed on this one, so I can still play guitar and play cajon at once. And you know, it is something that's church related for the design that I did, and I kind of like how it turned out. It turned out actually really good. I only have a couple little spots here. One little bit of blue got through, like just a smudge, but you can't really. You're not going to see it from a distance. You're not going to see it unless you're looking for it. So either way, to me, it's a win-win. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close. You know, I give it about a 99% on how it turned out. So pretty good even for doing my first one. One thing I do want to remind you guys of too, that I want to mention in this video is, if you are going to modify your faceplate by repainting it, customizing the thing your way, mark the direction on the back of the plate. I did, so I knew which was top and which was bottom. I kind of had like a little brain fart, and without realizing it, when I taped on the tape over the white, because I had to paint the whole front piece white first, and then I put the tape on, I kind of did it upside down. So this is technically the bottom, and that's technically the top. And the screw holes didn't align properly 100%. So that was my bad. It's a lesson learned, but salvation is there for this. I found some dowel that I had, and I just re-drilled the holes to the correct size that I needed to be able to hammer and pressure fit in the dowels with glue, and then just, you know, snip off anything extra on the top side. And then I was able to re-drill all the holes clean in the proper alignment for the way the top is now. So now it doesn't change the sound any. So if you make the same boo-boo, you're not going to alter the sound of the cajon at all. The faceplate is consistent top to bottom. You don't have to worry about any of that. You're not altering that. The one thing I did do though, the person who last had this thing had the snare wires installed in the upper position. Okay, so it made for too much snare and not very much bass out of this thing. And the only other position we have is the very bottom of the cajon, which is where I have placed the snare. So on the top side, we get that little bit of snare, right? But the rest of it, now we can get some thump. The one, our main worship leader in that group that I'm in, he actually likes the bass kick on my other cajon. I thought, well, how am I going to get that same kind of effect out of this one without having just completely remove the snares, but then we don't have any snare sound at all. And it's kind of nice to have just a little bit of that accent of the snare. You don't want too much, depending on the kind of music too you're playing. We're playing church music, so yeah, we kind of really don't want overly too much snare and not enough bass. And I kind of like the bass too. And it's not a tuned port in the back like the Raven is in my music genre one by Pearl. So they actually throw a lot of bass out. And their snare wires are actually fixed right up at the top side. So it's kind of like, wonder what happens if we put the snare at the very bottom, right? And turns out we do get quite a bit of bass, which is nice, and not a whole lot of that snare. So it works. Now, the other thing is too, is when you are painting one of these things, or doing any kind of painting really onto a wood surface, same as if you're going to repaint a guitar, use your paints that you're going to use, but just make sure that whatever clear coat you're going to use is compatible with the paint you're going to use. That's a huge thing, okay? It has to be compatible. So if you're using enamels, okay, you need the appropriate clear coat. You're using acrylics and so on, okay? You need the appropriate clear coat for that. Once you're done though, you know, you're gonna paint your top surface first, right? Obviously, I went all white because of what I was doing for my design, and I let that sit for a good couple of hours easily until it was nice and dry to the touch. Okay, Then I gently, of course, had wiped down the surface, make sure there's no burrs or stuff. You know, it only took, I think, about 2 or 3 coats of paint. Anyway, so then just take a clean rag and just wipe down everything so it's no furries or stuck up from the paint or whatever, because that can happen. Then, of course, you do your taping that you're going to do, right? And make sure it's nice and flat. Okay, I had like this one glitch with the blue down the corner that showed up when I sprayed the blue. Kind of sucked. Anyways, and then when you spray your top coat, that's going to be your final main surrounding area, like this is the blue. Do that, whatever amount of coats you need. I actually did, I believe, 2 coats of that. Then you let that sit, okay, for a few hours. Now I'm using fast dry paints too, which is another benefit. Using fast dry paints really helps. So if it says, you know, an hour, let it go for like, you know, maybe 2 hours, okay? Then once you're done with your main top coat, make sure that's nice and smooth and looks really good. Then shoot on your clear. Now I waited overnight and then I shot the clear on this morning, actually, is what I did. Because I wanted to give it more ample drying time and everything else, and of course, you know, temperatures and stuff. So this could delay you, by the way, for doing your clear coat and the temperature, because it needs a certain amount of flash time for the clear before you can paint, and paint needs a certain amount of flash time too. So with the blue paint that I used, it's a different formula than the white, so that actually did have to go longer regardless. So I just let it go overnight, and then I shot 2 coats of clear coat on it this morning. And then within about a couple of hours, it's now 11:30, I shot that probably somewhere around, just around 8 o'clock this morning. And it's now, like I said, it's about 11:30. So I shot my 2 coats of clear, and then I put her out in the sunlight, because it's really nice and sunny and warm outside right now. And I let the sunlight kind of bake on to that clear coat. And then I took my, I have what's called Gibson guitar polish. And I sprayed the entire front end, because it still felt a little bit, I wouldn't say tacky, but it felt not hardened in a sense, I guess you could say. It kind of had some little tackiness to it. So what I did with that was I sprayed the Gibson guitar polish all over the entire lid, wiped it down with my polishing rag, did that about 3 or 4 times, and now everything is smooth, it feels proper, and everything's doing just perfect on it. So now I can actually just go ahead and use this thing with a kick paddle or my hands, whatever I want. The clear coat doesn't take as long to set up and cure, especially if it's in direct sunlight. It's going to cure a lot faster. So thank goodness for the nice spring weather we finally have here in Canada. But yeah, so this is the Cajon, and it's going to work out just fine. So anyway, thought I'd show you guys this. Like I said, I have reviewed the Cajon1, as they call it, by GP. Go check out that video, you'll hear it. I wasn't massively impressed of the way it was, but it was still a good Cajon regardless. But I'm more impressed with having that snare set down on the bottom, because if you want to get bass out of this thing, the snare has to be on the bottom, which when you think about it, that's kind of backwards when you think about it, right? Because like I said, the Raven, I mean, the snare wires are right up at the top, and yet it's got a lot of bass and not a whole lot of that snare, where this is kind of the opposite system. Okay, it's kind of different. But porting and, you know, that sort of thing, I guess that's kind of where it's at. And having solid wood versus an MDF cabinet that's also got some slightly different dimensions by just a little bit. I guess that makes where the differences are, and I'm really not 100% on that. The snare wires on this are on a plate, and they kind of go over, and there's a sponge that has to sit in the middle of the snare wires, okay? Whereas the Raven and my music genre one from Pearl, they're on a plate, yes, but it's 2 separate sets of snare wires going up and pressuring itself up against the top. So a little different design factor there too in the way the snares work. So, but anyway, so yeah, the one thing you don't pay attention to is they say there's 3 positions. There's not. There's only the 2. Other people have complained about the same thing, and it's like everybody's mistyping this everywhere. But anyway, that's what I got for you. I like it. I like it a lot more with the snares on the bottom on this one, so I think that's definitely a total win right there. Now I have a cajon too that has my church theme as far as Christianity goes, and that's kind of a thing where I went with on this. Same as my white Les Paul. You know, I'm playing my electric guitar in church. I wanted white. Of course, I have white and gold on that guitar. It's just a kind of a me thing, you know what I mean? But yeah, anyways, let me know what you guys think too in the comments below, and what do you think about what I've done with this cajon. Now, there will only be one other cajon coming into the house, and it's something I had pre-planned anyways, because I'd never planned 3 cajons, but now I'm going to hit a 4th. I want to get one of those DIY kits, and you can get them either in the smaller size for more or less kids, or you can get a full size. I'm going to get the full size kit, obviously, and I'm going to do a building video on how to build one of these things, and we are going to do a full cabinet paint job, full plate paint job, the whole 9. And maybe do some custom work with the snare system. I think we're going to do some modifications there too, and just to change things up. I'm thinking what I want to do is put on a snare set that I can control it, where I can take the snares in different pressure levels to being right off, so where you can just like dial it type of thing. And then you can have full pure bass out of it, or you can have a hint of snare or a lot more snare, that sort of thing. Basically a tunable cajon that technically normally wouldn't be tunable anyway. Well, that's kind of where I want to go with that project. So it will require some modifications aside from the main kit. And that's kind of where I'm doing that. I don't know when it's coming though. It's going to take some time. You know, I got to get the kit and all that sort of jazz, get the time to do this. And it'll be a series of videos that we do all that in. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll definitely catch you on the next one. So, see ya.